your life, you deserve to be more, be more, do more, have more, and give more. And now the Becoming More podcast with Dianna Kokoszka.
Welcome to the Becoming More podcast. I've got to tell you, I just wanted to speak with you today, because a lot of people have been calling and asking me, hey, Dianna, why did you write the book Becoming More? And I've got to tell you, it was mainly because people like you, you kept asking me to write the book. Plus, I did research where I was finding that people aren't where they desire to be. So let me show you some actual statistics that I think are very important for us to understand at this time, because 96% of all the senior business leaders identified as feeling burned out. And that was according to Deloitte Workplace. And then of course, 60% of CEOs report that job stress has a negative impact on their physical health. That was Stanford Business. 94%, they said, of all the American workers right now reported feeling stressed at work. Now, I don't know if you're feeling stressed at work, yet stress is a crazy thing, right? It's something that boils up inside of us because we're not where we desire to be. Things aren't going how we desire for them to go. And 40%, actually 42% of business leaders sleep less than 6 hours a night. I don't know if that's a good thing or not. They say that we need 8 hours of sleep, yet how much are you sleeping? See, Forbes reports that 55% of leaders gain weight in their current role due to the amount of stress that they're carrying. And 65% report the stress of their job has had a negative impact on their relationships. 67% of the workers out there are saying they are struggling with work and life balance. So knowing all of this, what's causing this stress and anxiety? So I started asking, a lot of people said, well, it was inflation, rising interest rates, decreasing consumer confidence. Yet I believe that's the case. It's not inflation, rising interest rates, and decreasing consumer confidence. I believe it's how they think about those things, that their thoughts around those things that's causing the stress. Now, how many of you can actually relate to the stats that I shared with you? Yeah, I don't know if you're in there or not. You're having stress and anxiety. Well, it made me wonder why everyone is not reading Becoming More. You can't get to better until you get to different. See, 40% of the businesses out there are making a profit. They say 30% are just breaking even, and the other 30%, well, they're losing money. That comes from the small business trends. And 66% of small business owners say cash flow, well, that's their biggest concern, and it's keeping them up at night. I don't know about you. When we look at all the different businesses out there, they say that inflation is their second business external concern. Their biggest concern is burnout, the stress that they're all feeling. And they said that key skills could actually be part of it too. They're concerned about the skills and how fast we've got to keep up with everything. And when you think about a CEO, which I was for years, CEO makes about 35,000 remote decisions each and every day. Now, I don't care if you're a CEO or not. You're making 6,000. Dr. Joe Dispenza says that you're making 60,000 thoughts go through your mind every single day. You're making those types of decisions. Well, I don't care if it's 6,000 thoughts a day or 60,000 thoughts a day. It's a lot of thoughts. And it's not that that's the problem. The problem is 90% of those thoughts are the same thoughts you had yesterday and the day before that and the day before that. And 85% of those thoughts, well, they're just doggone plain negative. And those are just a few of the reasons that I desired to write this book, to help train our brain to a new way of thinking, to help that life's kind of like a U, you go from here, you go down, and then you go back up. Well, all of us are going to have rough times in our life. We just need to know, how do we get through them? And are you interested in becoming financially wealthy? Not rich, financially wealthy. There's a lot of people that are doing that, yet they're emotionally bankrupt. Well, awareness is the first step to change, because until you become aware of something, you'll never change anything. You won't even know to change it. And I got to tell you, I got a great deal of respect for your investment of time of you watching this today. So I wrote down 3 things that I would love for each of us to understand. Number 1, got to get to different. You can't get to better until you get to different. Einstein said it best: keep doing the same thing and expecting different results. Well, that's insanity. Number 2, how you think really does matter. Mindset and attitude. Number 3, well, improve the story that you're living. The story called your life. You're the one that's making it up, maybe. Or are you letting someone else write your story? Are you holding the pen, or did you give it to somebody else? See, the book Becoming More, You Can't Get to Better Until You Get to Different, it is full of research that backs up what Einstein said, that we've got to do something different to get anything to change. And your growth journey from where you are to where you desire to be, well, it's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be simple, yet not easy. Sometimes it's going to be a little frightening, scary. Fear sets in because doing something different is fearful. After all, different is uncommon, unfamiliar, unusual. Yet if you desire to become more, it is absolutely unavoidable. Becoming more requires you to become better, and becoming better requires you to embrace change. And change, well, it happens only through deliberate choice. Remaining the same and becoming more, that's an oxymoron. Now, comfort is insaneness. Yet, look at Radio Shack, Sears, Blockbuster. What do they all have in common? They're not around anymore. They failed, they faded away, and let's face it, they refuse to become different. I don't know why. Let me ask you, though, are you refusing to do something different? Are you refusing to look at life and say, what could we do a little bit different? What could we tweak? How could we get better? Because in today's fast-paced moving world, well, without progress, you are not standing still, you're going backwards. I mean, after all, just stand on a treadmill and see which way you go. If you don't believe me, look at those treadmill fails on YouTube. Some of them are hilarious, and yet they're all devastating because everybody ends up going down. Now, we got to do what we've never done. We've got to go where we've never gone. We've got to get outside of our comfort zone. As my mentor, John Maxwell, says, you have uphill goals with downhill habits. And everything that you desire, well, it's outside your comfort zone. It's going uphill. And I'm here to help you bring change to your life. Change that will help you become the person that you've always wanted to be. Now, I've got to ask you, what goals do you have? Are you willing to pay the price? Because see, research shows 95% of the people out there, you want something different, yet only 5% will actually do anything about it. Oh, we love the information. In fact, I believe that we are addicted to information and allergic to implementation. We fail to realize that growth is an inside job, and you grow within or you go without. It's about becoming bigger on the inside than the outside. And that's what the book offers you. It offers you experiences, stories, lessons, models, and practical applications for your life. See, it's not enough to accumulate knowledge without taking action. Nothing actually happens. It's that implementation that counts. And so when I was a CEO, I could see greatness in other people. I desired to pull it out. And I knew that my stand for their greatness had to be much greater than their stand for their limitation. Because see, those things that limit us, we want to hang on to. And when I say you have greatness inside of you, do you actually believe me? If not, borrow my belief in you until you get your own, because it's mainly the way that you think. Let me share how your brain wants you to believe. In fact, your brain so much wants you to believe that you're not correct when you think that you're great or that you have greatness inside of you. And the world can trick us into thinking that we just don't have what it takes. See, the world wants us to see things with a shadow, so to speak, on them, not in the light. So let me shed some light here for you, right? I want you to think about just adding things up in your mind. 2 + 2 = 4. Bet you did that real fast. Why? Because you have trained your brain to know that the answer is 4. You've said it over and over and over again so much you automatically know. It's kind of like having two houses side by side, and instead of going out to the street and walk and then down the sidewalk to the front door to knock on it, you just go from your door across the lawn to the next door. So easy, so simple. That's what your brain likes to do. It loves simple, it loves easy. Well, all of a sudden, there you are, and you just keep going back and forth across the lawn from door to door. What happens to the lawn? It wears down. Yes, there's no lawn left. That's your brain. Your brain, it has a neuron and it goes along and acts in that thought. And of course, it goes through synapses and there's dendrites and all sorts of things. Yet, it hits another neuron. Well, that pathway, that axon, yes, it's only 1/100th the thickness of one hair on your head, yet it gets thicker and thicker, just like that plot of grass that eventually goes away. Well, see, this becomes so thick, it's like you're hardwired that way. And it's the only way that you can think. Now, neuroscience tells us that nerve cells that fire together wire together. That's why we say people are just kind of hardwired that way. Yet, when we also hear that nerve cells that no longer fire together, no longer wire together, now we know we can change. And we can change the way that we think. We can change our habitual thoughts. And we can change them through purpose and passion and learn to prioritize and reach our potential. And we're always proceeding forward. See, with each choice comes risk. And thankfully, we can make corrections along the way. In the book, I talk about an adaptive learning model where we learn something, we implement, we fail, and then we learn a new way. That's the way it was with my brother Larry, who literally had a brain tumor. He learned how to walk and talk 4 different times in his life. And each time he had to learn different. Why? Because different found him. He didn't choose different. Different found him, yet he chose to go through that, to train his brain to a new way of thinking. He used a recipe, that adaptive learning model. He would learn, he would implement, he would fail, he would learn a new way, and he kept going. Now, in the book, there is a being to becoming more triangle, a model, if you will, and it's kind of after Coach John Wooden's success triangle. I figured it worked for Coach John Wooden, it would work for me as well, and I know it will work for you. Because see, this is important. Each chapter of the book goes through a portion of this triangle, a portion of the triangle that will help you become all that you can be, because it is about becoming more. After all, what other choice do we have? There are powerful forces out there that we can use, and one of them is your story. See, stories, we use them to make our relationships closer. Stories challenge us to stretch ourselves. They bring passion and fuel to the fire that burns within. And they kind of give us an accountability and a strategy, if you will, to proceed. What I have found in life is you don't get what you want, you get who you are. When my mentor, John Maxwell, taught me that, I thought about, what do I want to be different in my life? What do I want to be better? What do I want to improve? Am I in the place that I desire to be? And I looked around and I said, who am I attracting into my life? And I knew I had to get better. And one thing I know for certain is to make your life better, you've got to enter through the great gateway of different. You've got to enter through the gateway of different. You can't get to better until you get to different. So, what is it that you desire to have different? What is it that you desire? See, Sean Casey was a great baseball player known primarily for his batting. And he stated in the book, The Mental Game of Baseball, which was written by Harvey Dorfman, that every day from the time he was 16 until he retired, he would go into a book and he would start reading just little portions of it, learning and implementing about how he needed to work on his mindset. And of course, he did all of the workout to get strong physically, yet are we doing something for our mental mindset? Because that's always going to be the separator. It's the thing that will always have you stand apart from all the other people. Cheryl Himberg in her research says that mindset is 95% of your success and 5% is in your conscious mind. Well, yeah, if mindset is in your subconscious mind, how do you know what your mindset really is? Do you even notice the mental game that you're playing? Do you notice it? Probably not, because it's invisible. Yet the results are there. I want you to write this down. The mental game always the mental game always has been and always will be the separator. It separates the greatness from the mediocre, right? Separates us from being able to handle the game of rejection where people say no to us over and over again, to making it a game that with every no, we're that much closer to a yes, that we absolutely understand it. And we use failure as a feedback. We don't take it personal. We don't become a victim. I mean, after all, every story has a victim, a villain, a hero. Some of them have coaches and mentors. Yet, how are you playing out your story? Are you the main character, and which character are you playing? Are you the victim, the villain, or are you the hero of your own story? What is it that you desire to be different, to have that's different? Are you willing to make certain that you are moving forward with every day? Because see, this thing called life, well, you live it between B and D. B is your birth and D is your death. And between B and D, well, that's C. And for C, well, that stands for choice. Your life is being lived one choice after another. One season ends and another one begins. In the winter, we put on a coat. In the summer, well, we don't wear a coat, right? Maybe a bathing suit or shorts. Yet, what season of life are you in right now? Are you going through a winter time? Look at it like, hey, summer's right around the corner, right? Are you going through a summertime where you're just basking in the sun and everything is going your way? Well, ride that wave as long as you can, because we all have ups and downs in our life. We all have things that we're going to have to work on. But the main thing we can work on is this mind of ours, our mindset that's so very important, that we are constantly working to become more. And when I say that you can become more, do you actually believe me? Or do you say, well, Dianna, it's handed me a bad hand. And I'm here to tell you, it doesn't matter your past. It doesn't matter where you've been. All that matters is where you're going. Now, there was some rain that happened in Death Valley. I don't know if you've been to Death Valley or seen pictures. Yeah, nothing blooms there. Well, they were anxious because one day it rained 7 inches, and they thought, oh my goodness, what will happen in Death Valley? And nothing happened. And they watched it day after day, nothing happening. And after about 10 days, oh my word, it blossomed. Everything started happening. Well, that's how your life's going to be. You're going to work on yourself and you're going to feel like nothing's happening, nothing is changing. And then all of a sudden, there you are. You're just moving forward. And your friends are saying, "What's happened to you? You've done so well." It's because you're working on yourself. See, too many people just say, "Well, if I had what so and so had, I'd be able to do what they do, and then I'd be like them." And other people say, "No, no, 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 you've got to do what they do, and then you can have what they have, and then you'll be like them." Well, are you living your life as a have, do, be person or a do, have, be person? Or are you living it the right way? See, you've got to be it in order to do it. And once you do it, then you can have it. And once you have it, well, then you can give it away. The real true meaning to living life is to be, do, have, and give. And if for one moment you think that the external world is more powerful than the internal world, well, your brain will continue to respond to what others want you to do. It'll still respond the same old way. Yet once you realize the internal world is much more important than the external world, well, that's when things are going to change. Each one of you have a story, and every story matters. We're addicted to stories. I mean, you go to bed at night and your brain stays up all night just telling itself stories. Your life is made up of stories, which makes up a book called your autobiography of your life. In fact, if your life was a book, how would it read? Would it be a business book? Would it be an adventure, a mystery, a fairy tale? I don't know. It's your story. It's your book. When I was young, no one ever told me that I was responsible for writing my own story. Did anybody ever tell you that? Did they tell you that you were the creator, the character, the crusader, and the champion of your own story? Did you even think about being the hero of your own life? My book speaks about limiting characters and liberating characters. Which one are you going to play? Which one do you desire to play? See, you never change things by fighting existing reality. To change, you've got to build a new story that makes the existing story obsolete. That's what Buckminster Fuller reminded us of. And since we tell stories to reveal our heart, maybe because we want something, we tell them to survive, to shape our memories. And how do you make up your stories? Well, something happens and then we automatically judge it. See, our brain goes through all of these filing cabinets that we put things in called our memories, and we go, "Oh, this time is like that time." And so it pulls out that memory, forms the judgment, and it forms a story about what's going on. Now, once a story is formed, this reticular activating system back here in our brain, well, that says, "Hey, I want everything about you to look good and be right." In fact, the RAS makes certain that our eyes will only see what it wants us to, and our ears will only hear what it wants us to. Yet, how does it know? We tell it. You're the one telling your RAS what you want to see. You're the one telling your RAS what you want to know. And you're the one telling your reticular activating system that story that it is only going to gather evidence to make certain that your story is correct. That whatever you are telling yourself shows up to be the truth. Because the world as we created it is a process of our thinking. And it can't be changed without changing our thinking. I learned that from Albert Einstein. So I told you right now that you're living in a cage of your own choosing, a cage that you've built, a cage that is holding you as a prisoner of war. It's like, I don't even know if you'd believe me. Well, those bars of the cage that hold you in, they symbolize your thoughts. And the cage is your comfort zone that you live in so well and you don't want to leave. Yet outside that cage is where opportunity is. Outside that cage is where opportunity lies for you just to grab hold of. Yet, will you remain in that locked up cage? Is that the choice that you'll make? Because inside your cage, it's allowing fear to show up. It's allowing you to sabotage your own greatness. And we were designed to be great, yet we continually sabotage ourselves by thinking mediocre thoughts about who we are and the experiences that we encounter. See, I think that once we start thinking about this, we'll absolutely understand that our thoughts do matter. And that in becoming more, we'll truly understand that we can't get to better until we get to different. One time I was doing a speaking and I had a gentleman come up and I had him take a glass of water and he held it out in front of him. And as he did that, well, I asked him, how much does that water weigh? And he goes, nothing. It's not a big deal. So I kept speaking. And of course, he held the glass out in front. And as he held it out there, his arms started to get weak. And so he wanted to hold it up. And I'd go, no, you got to hold on to the glass. You said it didn't weigh much. Well, the more I spoke, the heavier that glass got. And you can well imagine. He finally begged to put it down. Why? Because the longer we hold on to it, the worse it becomes. That's like your limiting beliefs. That's what you're hanging on to. Things that are limiting you, and you're hanging on to them, and the weight is absolutely pulling you down. The quality of your life rests solely on your shoulders, nobody else's. Are you carrying those limiting beliefs around with you all the time? Or are you somebody that's absolutely learning and moving forward? I was with my son in Mexico. We were walking along this beach, and way out there in front of us, I saw where they had this netting. It was orange and it was held up by 4 stakes and made a square on the beach. And I thought, wow, what's up there? And as we got closer, I got to see that they were eggs. They were eggs of sea turtles. And he goes, oh, Mom, this will be so fun. If we are here when these hatchlings come out, well, guess what? We can help them get to the ocean before the predators take over. Well, as we walked along, I kept thinking about those eggs, and it reminded me of our life. See, if those eggs are broke from an outside force, the environment, life ends. Yet if those eggs are broken from an inside force, life begins. That's our life. If you allow the environment to get to you, if you allow that stress and anxiety to get to you, that's an outside force that's going to break you down. Yet when we grow from the inside out, when we become bigger on the inside, guess what? We then control our lives. We then predict our future. We then help our businesses grow, because your business, your life will grow to the extent that you do. Your health, your financial well-being, your relationships all will grow to the extent that you do. Do you have a growth mindset? Do you have an abundant mindset, a positive mindset? No, I'm not talking about a positive attitude. See, mindset and attitude are 2 different things. Attitude lives in your conscious mind. You can change your attitude that fast, yet your mindset is in your unconscious mind, and it takes time to change it. You have got to work on it. You've got to work on your thoughts, your beliefs, your values, your emotions, because all of those make up your mindset. Now, there is one thing that I want you to know about these thoughts that you have in your mind, those stories that keep going all night long. I call them the 4 storytellers in your mind. One is the devious storyteller. This is the one that absolutely wants to tell you all the negative things in your life. It wants to tell you all the bad things. You're not good enough. You're not tall enough. You're not skinny enough. You're not beautiful enough. You're not smart enough. You're not whatever, right? You don't have enough money. You don't live in the right place. You weren't brought up the right way. Oh, it goes on and on and on. just wanting to tell you how bad things are. And it plays havoc with you. It tears you down and it keeps you from your greatness. And then, of course, there's the flattering storyteller. This is the one that says, you already know it, don't need to learn anymore. It keeps you where you are in that comfort zone because it says, hey, you are so good at what you do. And then, of course, well, there is the reasonable storyteller. This is the one I don't like. It's the one that will give you reasons and excuses. It will tell you it's everybody else's fault, allowing you to blame everyone for everything in your life. And like my dad taught me, you can point the finger that way, saying it's your fault, but there's 3 fingers pointing back at you. So odds are 3-1, it's your own fault. Take responsibility. And then the 4th storyteller, that's the one I want you to feed. That's the one I want you to concentrate on. This is the one that is the empowering storyteller. It's the one that empowers you and allows you to empower other people. It's the one that will help you become more each and every day. Now, I trusted I just got you a little bit excited about becoming more. So get the book, Becoming More. You can't get to better until you get to different. And learn all the steps as you go up the triangle from who you are being in the story of your life to becoming more and having a new story that you've designed, a new story that you have created, the one that you are the champion of. You are the main character. You are the hero of your own life. And I wish all the things I could wish for you, that you become more. Till next week, I'll see you again on the Becoming More podcast. Thank you.
In your life, you deserve to be more, do more, have more, and give more. And now the Becoming More podcast with Dianna Kokoszka.